The Alien franchise is a staple not only of the summer blockbuster season, but also cinema in general. With its dark atmosphere, unique worlds, and deep themes and imagery, Ridley Scott has been able to merge sci-fi and horror in a way never before done. The type of horror is a particularly effective form that I like to refer to as reality horror. It's a style used amongst the greats like H.P. Lovecraft and Stephen King, and it deals more with the horror of not just what the monster is capable of doing to you, but also what the monster represents. The utter and total pointlessness of existence. That not only does God exist, but that he probably hates you, and that the universe is nothing but madness. These themes have been explored deeper in each film, and mostly deal with masculinity and the sacred feminine. Alien explores sexuality and particularly rape culture. Aliens delve into war and how capitalistic greed can ruin lives. Alien 3, while not the best of the franchise, did have an interesting discussion on religion and the gender roles religion designs. And then there were some sequels we don't need to talk about, so let's move on. So when Prometheus came out, it presented an interesting new theme. It explored humanity's creation and why we are here, and more specifically, it dealt with what would happen if our perspective of God was the opposite of what we hoped for. That's as close to reality horror as you can get. And in all honesty, it works, except for one problem. It ultimately had to be an Alien movie, and the need to tie into the previous films actually hurt Prometheus somewhat. I bring all this up to come back around to Alien Covenant, because despite the mixed reviews, it actually has an excellent story. I love the concepts of creating life and the dark connotations it bears if we were to play God. I love David, who is quickly becoming one of my favorite sci-fi villains of all time. I love the idea of children spiting their creators and destroying them. It's a corrupted version of the Jewish Golem story, and these concepts are extremely powerful and are accompanied by equally strong imagery and music. They could rival films like Blade Runner or even the original Alien as classic sci-fi. But again, this film has to ultimately be an Alien movie, and that's the weakest part of it. Anytime the film takes time to show the xenomorph and cater to the fan base, it makes the film suffer. And maybe that's the problem. It's more our fault than theirs. Maybe sometimes what we want isn't what we need. Maybe directors and producers shouldn't always be pressured to please the fans. And maybe the customer isn't always right. I finally understand why Ridley Scott was trying so hard to make this franchise stray away from Alien. Because it's really not about the aliens. It's about David and humanity and where they came from. I genuinely want to continue this franchise in the hopes that we will actually get the message that Ridley Scott is trying to convey. And frankly, I could be completely okay with less xenomorph in this film. In my opinion, wait to see it on DVD, especially if you're only seeing it as an Alien fan. But if you genuinely want to explore some deeply fascinating concepts and imagery, I highly recommend this film. Alien Covenant, a good film, but just not the one you were looking for.